Hello gamers, Pet here. Welcome to my Hearts of Iron 4 Death or Dishonor review. This is the DLC that came in June 2017 and it's the second DLC for Hearts of Iron 4. I kind of didn't cover the first DLC that came out in December 2016 called Together for Victory, mainly because I found it a little bit boring. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it when Paradox is improving their game. Every time they release a DLC, they also release this free patch that everybody gets, even if you don't own the DLC, and I love when they do that. I also love it when they add new DLCs, even that I'm not particularly gonna play too much with them because I like when they enhance the game some more. But basically, with Together for Victory, they've added countries that, while they took part of the war, of course, they were kind of like far away and they weren't like in the middle of the battle. Basically, they added Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, British Raj, which is India, and I had one more, but I forgot. Anyway, they were kind of far away, so yeah, that's why I haven't played it that much. But with this DLC called Death or Dishonor, they've added Romania, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia. And you know, as some of you know, I'm from Romania, so the fact that they've added Romania, I mean, those countries were always in the game, but they had this generic national focus tree, and now they actually made it proper. You know, they have custom generals and custom tree, and the planes, if they had planes, or the tanks, they're already there, and even, you know, the weapons that the country used in the war, that it's there. So it really enhances the experience, right? So again, I am happy that they've added Romania, because Romania has been an interesting player. And let me actually show you. I'm going to start in 1936, and I'm going to load each country. And actually, let me see. They've added Canada, Australia, of course, New Zealand, British Raj, and South Africa. Those were in the older DLC called Together for Victory, and in this DLC they've added Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Yugoslavia. Okay, so let's let me load Romania real fast. Let's turn off Iron Man mode so I don't see that save screen. So I'm going to load each country from this DLC, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it because I've played with all of them. You know, I've been experimenting with them to see how they are being played. And one good news is that each of those countries can be played very differently. Of course, you can always go fastest and declare war to your neighbor and whatever and so on, or, you know, try something else. But if you want to somehow try to survive, you have different ways to approach this, basically. So the thing with Romania is they are not bad. Even when they start, they have like plenty of divisions. Oh, another thing that they've added is when you select units and you give order to units, they've added, they say something in that language. So what you heard now, it was in Romanian. Attenzione, that's attention. It's kind of funny. Anyway, the thing with Romania is that it's always, you know, like through history, Romania and Romanian territories, you know, from the back when Romania wasn't existing like an idea, you know, there was Wallachia and Moldavia, and the Transylvania region which was always under the Austro-Hungary Empire. We were always, you know, almost always, we were always kind of caught in between big powers, right? Like Austro-Hungary, Ottoman Empire from below, and we were always like being fucked in the ass. And in a way, that's how we kind of survived. And this is kind of what happened in World War II. I mean, Romania lost a lot of territory, and keep in mind, in World War II was still a lot of the world was still about territory. I mean, you need to have territory. And they lost a lot of war without even fighting. They've lost Transylvania to Hungary, and of course they've lost Bessarabia to Soviet Union, right? And this is one of the problems, even with this focus tree, is that you are going to be with those problems, but now you have ways to kind of go around them and hopefully survive. This is why it's very challenging, because Romania gets fucked from, even if you are going to join the Axis, you can maybe still a little bit fucked. So you need to kind of pick up an allegiance, like to whom are you going to play with. And one thing that I still want to try it, and I want to play it some more, I want to see if I could survive with Romania by being democratic, but being with allies, because then in a way, if you're not playing with historical focuses, you are still going to get fucked by the Russian and by the Axis, right? By Soviet Union and by the Axis. So let's see what's happening with Romania. Basically, right now, when you start in 1936, you have George Tătărescu as a leader. But what's more really annoying, and in a way, I mean, you can get the portrait of if you go to the here to the national focus and you go to institutional dictatorship, you will get Carol II as a portrait there, basically. But the effects of Carol are still present, because he really likes to party a lot. So as you can see there, King Carol's II lifestyle. As you can see, this is one of the events that you get, like King's Mistress purchased villa, and Magda Lupescu, Mistress of King Carol II, has reportedly purchased a new villa in an expensive suburb of Bucharest. Now, how she could afford it was subject to extensive speculation. And anyway, you can do it like this, where you gain supplementary budget, which grants consumer goods factories 20%. That's a lot. Or you can just lose 90 political power. And this will always be there until you do stuff like King Michael coup. And yes, you can get King Michael to be the leader. And like an interesting information, it's 2017 July, and King Michael is actually still alive. He's 95 years old. So yeah, that's one way to get rid of the king, the second lifestyle. Or you can go here to all parties must end, in case you still want to have Carol. But anyway, Carol has been like more of a joke through history. Anyway, he's not really that interesting. And getting rid of that nasty debuff. I mean, he does have an advantage. If you go and you research what I'm researching right now, you will get a discount when you purchase leaders. You see, they are kind of. I mean, I think it's the normal price, but King Carol II will get a discount, and that's why I'm actually like advancing the game right now, so you can see King Carol's portrait. And in the meantime, actually, let me show you what else you can do with Romania. Well, Romania, there are two big choices that you can do right now. One is preserve Greater Romania, which of course is something that you might want to do in case, I mean, Romania has kind of never been after territory. It's one thing that we've learned in history, which is of course very subjective, but truth be told, we were never always like kind of wanting to expand, because we were always small and getting fucked by others. So in a way, it's kind of like the Romanian way not to attack and not to be very aggressive. So that's how you can go and preserve Greater Romania, where you can go here on this path. You can join the Comintern. On this path, you can join the Axis. And on this path, of course, you can renew the Romanian-Polish alliance and, of course, join the Allies. And one interesting new feature in this patch is that you can license equipment. So if you go here, for example, you can actually license tanks and equipment from Germany, and that's also kind of nice, right? And the second way you can go is Balkan dominance, and you can puppet Bulgaria, secure Greece, secure Bosphorus, divide Yugoslavia, align Hungary, and then split Czechoslovakia. And that is kind of nice. I haven't played it that way yet, because as I said, I still want to play somehow passively and see if I can survive. It's hard. But those are like two ways that you can go and approach. Again, this path over here, which is still common to to both ways. It's basically the civil works, the agrarian reform, the development transport, where you gain infrastructure. You can gain Malaksa, which will gain you some civilian factories. Hunedora steelworks, which again you get civilian factory to building slots, and then you can also invest in an IRR. You can also get more oil, and then of course you can get more research. And this is one of the things with Romania. If you go over here to the resource, Romania has a lot of oil. I mean, a lot of oil. And Hitler in World War II was kind of relying on the oil from Romania. So you have a huge advantage there with Romania. Right. So this is Carl II with that mustache. So anyway, another thing that I want to talk about real fast is the IRR. IRR. Anyway, it's basically this plane, which is actually a pretty strong plane. I mean, I do suggest you to go on Wikipedia and search for it. It's been known that to be like of really high quality, and it's actually, if I remember correctly, it's like a pure Romanian design or something like that. And if you go to the national focus, you can see that you can invest in the IRR, where you get, I mean, basically, if you do this this research, and I believe there is another one here, if you expand the Air Force and you go here on the IRR, you get 100% reduced time penalty. So basically you can have 1940 plane in 1939 when the war starts, and you can start producing them. If of course you will have to cut some corners maybe in other parts, but you can do that. And I found that that was pretty interesting. Romania also can expand the shipyards, and you can get a fleet. Army maneuvers, again, it's the classic, you go, you know, those are like a bit more boring, but it is kind of like the most and yeah, about the Institute of Royal Dictatorship, you can have another research slot from here, but you can also this is the thing with Romania. I mean, Romania started in the Axis, but then in 1944 we switched sides to the Allies, and we kind of got fucked because we were in the Axis, but then we kind of got fucked because we were in the Allies. So in the end, we still kind of got fucked. It's like a Romanian thing. So when you join a faction, because of the real life thingy, it's the same in game. You can change your faction in game. It's the only country that can do that. You can join the Axis and later change your faction by researching. I'm still a little bit confused because I haven't played in this area that much, but I believe this is, yeah, it is how you can like join the Allies, right? But then you can start researching this branch and basically join again something else, but it's only, you can only do that if you preserve Greater Romania. But then you also have here like flexible foreign policy, where you can appoint an Axis friendly government, and then the Iron Guard. And again, if you want to do the switching, I think this is the switching part, if I'm not too confused right now. So this is Romania, I think. Is there something else that I should specify? I don't think so. Let's go to the research a little bit, and we do have like our own, you know, the Marshall tank. I believe this one is kind of custom, or there was another one that was custom. I think this is the one that's custom. Yeah, it's kind of it's a weird looking tank. I mean, it never existed, but it's kind of like there are some prototypes, drawings, and that's how they got it in. So yeah, Romania is a really interesting country to play. So let's actually go back to the menu and load out another country, so I can tell you about that particular country. Let's actually go again with 1936, and let's go let's have a look for Czechoslovakia, which is like another really interesting and very hard to play country. Why? Well, they start as democratic, and they have this thing with divided nation because, you know, they are Czechoslovakia. I mean, that's how we pronounce it. Romania. It's basically the Czech and the Slovakia together, and they have this problem, right? And you can get rid of this problem to national focus, but it's not really that huge of a deal, honestly. But then you have this Skoda Works, which has factory output by plus 10%, and that's actually kind of a lot. And if you look at the tree to my tests, Czechoslovakia actually gets a lot of factory output, and you will be able to build a lot of stuff if you survive. Because in case you know, I mean, even if you are not playing with historical focuses, you are still going to get fucked when Germany is researching demand Sunderland. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's not Sunderland, it's Sunderland or something like that. Sunderland is a football team and a city, of course, in England. So yeah, and basically Germany will research that demand Sunderland around 1938, and if you do not give them that territory, they will declare war on you, and then you'll be fucked, because you will only have like 2 years to prepare for this. And I've actually tried about 5 games, and in one game, one thing that I suggest you to do right at the beginning of the game, go to Austria, and you see they are very fascists. It's kind of like I find it a little bit weird. Boost party popularity and select democratic, and stage a coup for democratic, and just do that from the beginning. Why? Because another problem that happens is that before they demand Sunderland, they will annex Austria, and basically you will kind of be surrounded. Yeah, you will have a lot of territory to cover, and you will not be able to defend this area. And this is one of the big problems with Czechoslovakia. Second problem is Hungary, which can also be fascist, and they can also join Germany. One thing that I've tried to do is declare war and actually conquer Hungary, and I've done that every game, and that was kind of fun. But now let's look at the tree. One thing that I've tried, and it's very, very, very useful, you can have fortification studies, and you can go down to fallback line, I believe, Sunderland early fortification, and then Sunderland advanced fortification, and Sunderland fortification. Basically, you can have fortification at level 7 in this area, and this will help a lot. You can also expand to get the Hungarian line and the Polish line, but if you get on this line, you will get a lot, and you can even research a fallback line, which will add, I believe, some more around here or something like that. That thing is very interesting. You also have industrial legacy, and they somehow get really, really boosted really early on with the Czech industry, as you can see here. With the factories, it's a really interesting way to do. But what's more interesting is actually the political direction. I mean, you can go left and join the Comintern, and of course you have the Romanian question. It's interesting. I haven't played in this area yet. You can go democratic, of course, or you can go right and join the fascists. Join the Axis, right? And one thing that you can do, let me see where it is. Where is it? Okay, strategic decision. This is the other interesting part. You can of course go on the German part, or you can also gain some German technology. But I've tried to play like this, and it's very, very interesting if it's successful. An entente of our own. Basically, Czechoslovakia can create their own faction, and you will be able to invite Yugoslavia, and you will be able to invite Romania. There is a chance that they will refuse, but from my play tests, one of them will surely join, and in one game both of them join. But then I had a problem with Austria, and that was it, basically lost. And if Romania and Yugoslavia join your faction and you manage to conquer Hungary, you will be very, very covered in a way if you can hold the line from Germany, and that's like a really interesting path that you can take. You also have the military technical institute, where you can advance in the army, you can advance in the air, and of course access to the sea. So this is Czechoslovakia, again a very interesting country to play, and really fun. Actually, all the countries are fun. Maybe Hungary is not really that fun. Let's actually start with Hungary right now. There is something interesting with Hungary that you can do, and we will talk that when the game loads, which is now. One fun fact: Hungary's leader is Miklos Horthy, and he's an admiral. But Hungary has no access to the sea. They have no water beside this big lake, which is huge. But they have an admiral as a leader, and they have no water. But yeah, of course, I am only joking. You know, this guy is from Great Austro-Hungary. Back in World War One, he was an admiral when Austro-Hungary had a fleet. So that's basically the deal with him. So what can you do with Hungary? One problem with Hungary is the Treaty of Trianon, where it's kind of very slow to construct factories. And if I remember, there was supposed to be something else, but I kind of forgot. What is very interesting that you can do with Hungary is the restoration of Austria-Hungary. You can protect Czechoslovakia, and then you can claim Transylvania, march of the shore, claim this, and then basically reclaim the empire. So it's not really. I've tried to do it once, and I went to this area, and I basically Austria got united with me, but that's not really. It's just you and Austria. It's not the Austro-Hungary, because then you need territory. You need Transylvania, you need territory from the Czech, I believe, and then you also need some parts from Yugoslavia, I believe. So it's not really that easy, but that's a very good challenge you can do with Hungary. As you can see, you can elect the king, and then you can go on this side. You also have something where you can assassinate Horthy. Even this icon is looking a little bit freakish. And then of course you can join the Comintern, and then the Hungarian Red Army, and it's Hungary is like a really small country, so this is why in a way I basically live somewhere around here, so I have always been very close to Hungary and Serbia, so I'm kind of used with hearing Hungary. I always find it like a very funny language when you hear it. I mean, not funny in the good way, of course. So anyway, this is basically kind of the deal with Hungary. I'm not sure what else do. They have this naval warfare. I find it funny. But that's something that I will try to do, like to restore the Austro-Hungary. Austro-Hungaria, that's how we call it in Romania. So let's now look at what I believe is like the most challenging nation right now in game, or at least in this DLC. It's basically Yugoslavia, and they have like 30% national unity. That's huge. I mean, it's hugely low. Basically, Yugoslavia is very, very, very fucked from all points of view. They have bad infrastructure. They have pretty low factories, if I remember correctly. And it's true, I only played like 2 games with them until 1940, something like that. So I'm not really an expert with Yugoslavia, so I can't really give you tips, but that's fine, because it's a good idea for you to figure out some stuff on your own. With Yugoslavia, it's basically I've reached 1939 and the war started, and I had no units, and I was a little bit like, what the hell have I done? What have I been doing until now? And one thing that you will have to do with Yugoslavia, but it's kind of a balance, and you have to see how you will balance everything. I mean, you can go and recognize the Soviet Union. Let's actually look. I mean, basically, this is your leader is Prince Paul. You have Croatian opposition, which gets you minus 30% national unity. You have Macedonian opposition, which gets you political advisor cost, trade law cost, mobilization law cost, economy cost plus 25%. You have Slovene nationalists, minus 10% production efficiency growth. That's huge. You have Serbian general staff, which is military leader cost plus 50%, but you get max spending plus 10%, and you get anti-German military and basically ideology-driven defense plus 5%. So again, you can go on the red side with the Soviet Union. or you can, but at one point you will have to do this, maybe, probably, I'm not sure. You can abolish the monarchy, and I'm not sure if you maybe you can rise, you can get rid of those debuffs if you go on this side. But basically what you need to do, if you go to Western focus, you can try to do friendship treaty with Italy or reinforce the old alliances, which basically attract foreign capital. But basically you have two choices on each of those problems, and that's very interesting on how you approach. You can ban Slovene Nationalist Party in order to get rid of that, or you can look, for example, establish the Banovina of Croatia, or crush the Utaza, something like that, in order to get rid of that. And again, it's like a really long path for you to research in order to get rid of this. So you kind of need to be sure to also go on the industrialization program and get you some infrastructure around and get some research slots, basically, because if you want research slots, you need to go here and expand the University of Belgrade, and then maybe expand the University of Ljubljana. But it requires, if I remember correctly, does not have the national spirit Slovene nationalist. So you need to not have this in order for that research to happen. So yeah, I mean, Yugoslavia basically has this huge area where it can also be invaded from water, and Italy will cause problems. Italy will also at one point maybe get Albania when Zog will submit, basically. So yeah, they are on a really weird spot. So this is like a challenging country that I should play some more, actually. So this is basically it. With this was my review for Hearts of Iron 4. I was planning on doing a review for Hearts of Iron like last year, but other things happened last year, unfortunately. So I'm happy that at least I managed to make a video about Hearts of Iron 4 now, because I do think it's a great game. Yeah, I mean, it had some problems and people are complaining about the AI a lot of times, but I mean, come on. I mean, I like history. I like World War II, as when I want to read more about history. I don't like war itself, you know, just to be clear. But Hearts of Iron 4, it's actually giving you like a good choice. It's like a huge sandbox, like a huge playground where you can try to change history, and you can try to do other things, and this is what I like about this game. So hopefully this video was useful to you, and as I said, I do recommend you to get this DLC, because it really gives you some good countries to play with, and they are being played very differently, and there are a lot of new things that you can try out. Don't forget to check out GamerPET.com. I also wrote a small article about this, but I think the video is more informative, and also I'm putting new stuff on my website, so that's why I'm kind of trying to talk more about it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this. See you soon. Goodbye.